In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on February 5th, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. San Antonio Spurs versus Atlanta Hawks. Two teams striving to improve their positioning in the race for the postseason will face off in the NBA on Wednesday night. The San Antonio Spurs, who hold a record of 21-26 straight up and 23-24 against the spread, suffered a tough loss on Monday when they were soundly defeated by the Memphis Grizzlies, falling by a score of 128-109 despite entering the game as plus 3.5 underdogs. Meanwhile, the Atlanta Hawks, sitting at 23-27 straight up and 22-28 against the spread, managed to pull off a narrow victory over the Detroit Pistons on the road, securing a 132-130 win as plus 4.5 underdogs on the same night. San Antonio continues to be without Charles Bassey, while the team is closely monitoring the status of veteran point guard Chris Paul and their recent acquisition, star guard De'Aaron Fox. Both players are currently listed as questionable for this matchup. On the other side, the Hawks are dealing with a slew of injuries, as they will once again be missing key contributors Jalen Johnson, Clint Capela, and Bogdan Bogdanovic. Although both squads are experiencing difficulties as they enter this contest, the Spurs recently gained a significant offensive boost with the addition of Fox to their lineup. Expect the newly acquired guard to be available for Wednesday's game, where he is likely to cause problems for Atlanta's struggling defense, which ranks 28th in the league in points allowed per game. Fox brings another dimension to the Spurs' offense with his ability to penetrate defenses and create his own shots, which should, in turn, provide more opportunities for star rookie Victor Wembanyama to operate efficiently. On the other hand, Atlanta may have snapped an 8-game losing streak recently, but they are not the same team without Johnson's presence, particularly on the defensive end. Additionally, another major factor to watch will be the status of Trae Young as game time approaches. The Hawks' dynamic point guard is dealing with Achilles tendonitis in his right leg, which could have an impact on both his minutes and overall effectiveness in this contest. The Hawks have been dealing with numerous injuries and have struggled mightily in recent weeks, dropping 8 of their last 10 games. Their recent win over the Pistons came down to the wire, and they were fortunate to escape with a victory after Young drained a clutch, last-second shot. Meanwhile, the Spurs cannot afford to continue racking up losses if they are serious about making a push for a playoff spot, especially now that De'Aaron Fox is expected to make his debut with the team. While it will take some time for Fox to develop chemistry with his new teammates, this is a matchup the Spurs simply cannot afford to lose, given the current state of the Hawks. If San Antonio wants to remain in the postseason hunt, they need to capitalize on opportunities like this against struggling opponents. Expect Wembanyama to put together an impressive performance, while the Spurs offense should find plenty of success against Atlanta's porous defense. So the San Antonio Spurs to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The first time these two teams met this season, they combined for 240 points in regulation and a total of 259 points after overtime, easily surpassing the projected total of 233 points. Both San Antonio and Atlanta rank in the upper half of the league in terms of field goal attempts per game, with each team averaging more than 88 shots per contest. The Spurs currently sit 20th in the NBA in possessions per game, averaging 101.9, while the Hawks significantly push the tempo, ranking second overall in that category with 107.1 possessions per game. Atlanta prefers to play at a high pace, and with San Antonio's newly revamped lineup, the Spurs should be more than willing to run with them, just as they did in their first meeting. In recent games, San Antonio has demonstrated their ability to put points on the board, scoring at least 116 points in 4 of their last 10 contests. Atlanta, meanwhile, has begun to find its rhythm offensively, surpassing the 127-point mark in each of their last 2 outings as they attempt to put their extended losing streak behind them and regain some momentum on that end of the floor. Notably, the over has hit in 8 of the last 10 matchups between these two two teams. Defensively, the Hawks have been in shambles over the past few games, allowing 130 or more points in each of their last 3 outings. On the season, Atlanta ranks near the bottom of the league in multiple defensive categories, as they sit 28th in points allowed per game and 27th in overall field goal defense. With that in mind, expect the Spurs to make a concerted effort to establish Wembanyama in the paint early in the game, which will help open up opportunities for their perimeter shooters later on. On the other end of the floor, despite their struggles, the Hawks remain a top 10 offensive team in the NBA, currently ranking 10th in total points per game. While they have given up an average of 130 points per contest over their last 3 games, they have also managed to score 124 points per game over that same stretch. Additionally, Atlanta continues to play at the second fastest pace in the league, while the Spurs also push the tempo at an above-average rate, ranking 12th overall in pace of play. Given these factors, this game has all the makings of another high-scoring affair. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Milwaukee Bucks versus Charlotte Hornets. The Milwaukee Bucks, currently holding a record of 26-22 and sitting in 5th place in the Eastern Conference standings, will travel to North Carolina on Wednesday night for a matchup against their conference rivals, the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte, struggling with a record of 12-35, is positioned near the bottom of the Eastern Conference in 14th place. Milwaukee enters this contest after suffering a tough 125-96 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder on Monday night. That defeat extended their losing streak to 4 games. Despite being in 5th place, the Bucks are only 2 games ahead of the 7th place team, a critical position as only the top 6 teams automatically qualify for the postseason without needing to participate in the play-in tournament. On the other hand, the Hornets come into this matchup fresh off a 124-114 loss to the Washington Wizards on Monday. Charlotte has endured significant struggles lately, dropping 5 consecutive games and losing 7 of their last 8. They currently sit 14th in the Eastern Conference standings, trailing the 10th and final play-in tournament spot by 7.5 games. Milwaukee may still be dealing with a depleted roster for this matchup, as both Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard are listed as questionable to play. Their availability will be a key factor in the Bucks' game plan and overall effectiveness. Meanwhile, the Hornets are expected to field the same roster they had in their previous game. Milwaukee had multiple players sidelined in their last outing, which significantly impacted their performance. However, their star duo of Antetokounmpo and Lillard is anticipated to return, which would provide a major boost for Wednesday's contest. Conversely, Charlotte has been dealing with several long-term injuries, including the loss of their second leading scorer, Brandon Miller, for the remainder of the season. While Charlotte has managed to establish itself as a respectable defensive team, ranking 11th in the NBA in points allowed per game, their offense has been a major weakness. The Hornets are averaging only 107 points per game, ranking 28th in the league, and they also hold the NBA's worst field goal shooting percentage at 30th overall. In contrast, the Bucks have been highly efficient offensively, ranking 6th in field goal shooting percentage and 2nd in three-point shooting percentage. Defensively, Milwaukee is also strong, ranking 4th in opponent field goal percentage and 10th in opponent three-point shooting percentage. Additionally, the Bucks have successfully covered the spread in 4 of their last 6 matchups against the Hornets. Even with several key players dealing with injuries, Milwaukee remains among the top 5 teams in the league when it comes to effective field goal percentage. They have consistently demonstrated their ability to take care of the basketball and maintain efficient offensive production. Meanwhile, Charlotte has been one of the league's most erratic offensive teams, struggling with consistency and facing difficulties in both getting to the free throw line and limiting turnovers. Milwaukee's recent struggles culminated in a blowout loss to the Thunder on Monday, a game in which they were missing nearly all of their top contributors. Given that embarrassing defeat, the Bucks will be highly motivated to bounce back with a strong performance against a Hornets team that is also in a slump and recently lost to a struggling Wizards squad. It is essential to monitor the injury report before tip-off, as the uncertain status of Milwaukee's stars could significantly affect the betting line. However, based on the current circumstances, I expect the Bucks to respond effectively on the road, so the Milwaukee Bucks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The total points scored in this matchup have frequently trended under in recent meetings. 5 of Charlotte's last 7 games have gone under the total, as have 6 of the last 7 home games between Charlotte and Milwaukee. Furthermore, in their last 12 overall meetings, the under has hit in 9 of them. Milwaukee currently ranks 12th in offensive efficiency, while Charlotte is near the bottom at 28th. Defensively, both teams perform solidly, with the Bucks ranking 11th and the Hornets sitting at 14th in defensive efficiency. Additionally, both Milwaukee and Charlotte operate at a relatively slow pace, ranking in the bottom half of the league in terms of tempo. The Bucks' defense has been highly effective in limiting opponent field goal efficiency, ranking in the top 5 in that category. On the other side, the Hornets have displayed a severe lack of consistency on offense, which has led to frequent scoring struggles. Milwaukee has also been weak on the offensive glass, meaning they will likely be limited to just one shot per possession on most trips down the court. Meanwhile, Charlotte is solid on the defensive boards but prone to careless turnovers, which should lead to a large number of empty offensive possessions. Given these factors, we can expect a lower scoring game. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Cleveland Cavaliers versus Detroit Pistons. Wednesday, February 5th is set to be another action-packed day in the NBA, with several intriguing matchups on the schedule. The Cleveland Cavaliers are currently just one game behind the best record in the entire league. They have an impressive 40-10 record, which also gives them the top spot in the Eastern Conference. However, they are coming off a tough home loss against the Boston Celtics on Tuesday night. Meanwhile, the Detroit Pistons have a perfectly balanced 25-25 record and are holding on to the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference standings. Despite their even record, the Pistons have struggled recently, dropping 4 of their last 6 games. They will be looking to get back on track in this matchup against Cleveland. The Cavaliers are still dealing with injuries and will once again be without Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade. On the other hand, the Pistons have officially ruled out Jaden Ivey, which is a significant loss for their backcourt. Detroit is catching Cleveland at an opportune moment, as the Cavaliers will be playing the second game of a back-to-back set. Cleveland faced Boston in a high-energy, nationally televised showdown on Tuesday night, where they likely exerted a lot of effort in hopes of securing a crucial victory to maintain their standing in the East. With such a quick turnaround, the Cavaliers may not have much left in the tank when they take on Detroit just 24 hours later. The Pistons, on the other hand, have the advantage of extra rest and preparation time, which should allow them to come into this game with fresher legs. Additionally, Detroit has been showing clear signs of improvement compared to their performance over the past 2 seasons. Young stars like Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren continue to develop, making them a more competitive unit. The team also bolstered its roster with the addition of experienced veterans such as Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley, and Joe Harris. These seasoned players provide reliable scoring options and help take some of the offensive pressure off the younger core. Cunningham, in particular, has been playing at a high level lately, showcasing his ability to take over games. Cleveland does not have an ideal defensive matchup for him, as his size presents an advantage over both Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, so the Detroit Pistons to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Games between division rivals are always highly competitive, and the Central Division is no exception. These two teams have already faced off twice this season, and both of those contests ended with the total points going under the projected line. The familiarity between these squads plays a significant role, as both coaching staffs understand each other's strategies and are forced to make in-game adjustments to create scoring opportunities. Detroit will be without Jaden Ivey for this matchup, which is a notable blow to their offense. Ivey is the team's second leading scorer and an explosive athlete in transition, meaning his absence slows down the Pistons' offensive tempo. Given this, Detroit is likely to adopt a more methodical approach, deliberately reducing the number of possessions to limit Cleveland's scoring opportunities. The Pistons also hold an advantage in the post, as Cunningham's size mismatch against Cleveland's smaller guards allows them to exploit favorable matchups. However, working the ball inside and playing through post-ups naturally takes more time off the shot clock. Meanwhile, the Cavaliers, who will be fatigued after their intense battle against Boston the night before, are unlikely to push the pace. Instead, they may actually welcome a slower, more controlled game. Considering these factors, this matchup is shaping up to be a low-scoring affair. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Washington Wizards versus Brooklyn Nets. The Washington Wizards, who currently hold a disappointing record of 8-41, find themselves sitting in 15th place in the Eastern Conference standings. They are set to take on the Brooklyn Nets, who have managed a 17-33 record and occupy the 12th spot in the same conference. This matchup is scheduled to take place on February 5th at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Despite their struggles throughout the season, the Wizards enter this contest riding a modest 2-game winning streak. Their latest victory came in a 124-114 road win against the Charlotte Hornets on Monday, a game in which they displayed some much-needed offensive efficiency. On the other hand, the Brooklyn Nets are also carrying some momentum into this game, having secured 3 consecutive wins. Their most recent triumph was a nail-biting 99-97 home victory against the Houston Rockets on Tuesday, a game that saw them escape with a win in the final moments. Both teams will be missing key players heading into this contest. The Wizards remain without Alex Sarr and Marvin Bagley, 2 players who could have provided depth and impact on both ends of the floor. Meanwhile, the Nets are still dealing with the absence of Cameron Johnson and Ben Simmons, both of whom have missed significant time due to injuries. Despite these absences, both squads have managed to put together rare winning streaks, making this matchup more intriguing than it might have been just a couple of weeks ago. The Wizards, who have struggled immensely for the majority of the season, now have a chance to secure their 3rd consecutive victory. Similarly, the Nets, fresh off their dramatic win against the Rockets, will be looking to extend their own winning streak to 4 games. Even with these recent successes, it remains difficult to place full confidence in either team at this stage of the season. While the Nets appear to be the better team overall, they are playing on the second night of a back-to-back set, which could put them at a disadvantage in terms of energy and fatigue. Though it may not be the most appealing option, backing the Washington Wizards in this spot makes some sense. They have the clear rest advantage over the Nets and are coming off back-to-back wins, which should provide them with some semblance of confidence heading into this game. Meanwhile, the Nets are not only dealing with injuries but are also coming off an emotionally draining win over the Rockets, a game in which they needed a last-second 3-pointer to secure victory in a highly unusual and chaotic ending. While Brooklyn is arguably the superior team, that does not carry much weight given how inconsistent they have been throughout the season. Neither the Nets nor the Wizards have been able to sustain positive momentum for long stretches, making it hard to trust either squad in a favorite role. So the Washington Wizards to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. When analyzing this matchup from a defensive standpoint, it is evident that both teams have struggled mightily on that end of the floor. Based on defensive rating metrics, the Brooklyn Nets currently rank 25th in the league with a defensive rating of 115.4, while the Washington Wizards sit at the very bottom, ranking 30th with a defensive rating of 118.3. Additionally, both teams have had issues limiting their opponents from scoring off turnovers. The Wizards rank 27th in the NBA in this category, allowing an average of 19.8 points per game off turnovers. The Nets are not much better, ranking 25th and allowing 19.5 points per game in such situations. These defensive inefficiencies suggest that scoring opportunities should be plentiful in this contest. Another factor pointing towards a high-scoring game is the contrast in playing styles between these two teams. The Wizards play at a much faster pace, ranking 5th in the NBA in pace of play, whereas the Nets operate at the slowest tempo in the league, ranking 30th. However, with Washington dictating the tempo, it is likely that they will push the pace and create a game with a high number of possessions. This would increase the potential for scoring, especially given the defensive vulnerabilities of both teams. Brooklyn and Washington both struggle in rim protection, ranking 24th and 29th, respectively, in that department. While neither team boasts a particularly efficient or reliable offense, both squads feature streaky shooters who are capable of catching fire on any given night, with players like Jordan Poole and D'Angelo Russell standing out as potential offensive catalysts. As long as both teams have their key scorers available and do not see any unexpected absences, this game should feature plenty of points. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.